Well, hello everyone, and a most cordial welcome to the WordSmith YouTube channel. Today we find ourselves immersed in the evocative soundscape of Caskets by Ren and Chris Webby. Based on that title, I'm a little bit concerned for my mental well-being, but please do comment, like, subscribe, and share if you end up enjoying this video, and feel free to support the channel like these lovely souls you see on screen. A massive thank you once again to all of them who have contributed thus far. Now, without further bloody ado, let's dive straight into it, shall we? Okay, so Caskets, Ren and Chris Webby. I just saw his comment in the video. This is for anyone who has lost someone. So, yeah, okay, here we go. Okay.
If I don't wake tomorrow morning, empty shoes on the side of the hall, and if my number stops calling, picture frames hanging up by the door, you try to reach right in and hold on to the little things, but they slip away. But it's okay, 'cause I had a hell of a time. Know that I had the time of my life.
Yep.
So remember me and smile. All of the souls heading back home down a one-way road. So it goes until the caskets close.
This is going to be one of those songs, isn't it? Okay. Right, let's take a look at the lyrics. Okay, so reviewing these lyrics, I find myself standing at the threshold of mortality, yet not in the language of morbidity or even fear, but in something far more tender and human. A reflective, almost gentle acceptance of impermanence. Because the opening imagery, empty shoes on the side of the hall and picture frames hanging up on the door, that evokes the quiet residue of a life once vividly inhabited, now rendered into objects that hum with absence. There is something profoundly psychological there because the mind's instinct is to cling, to reach right in and hold on to the little things, even as it begins to recognize that all things, no matter how cherished they are ultimately transient, slipping through our conceptual grasp like sand through semi-closed fingers. Yet rather than despair, there's remarkable tonal pivots and almost stoic serenity captured in the phrase, "but it's okay." It is not denial, it is integration. The chorus actually reframes the entire existential meditation within disarming grace. I had a hell of a time, know that I had the time of my life. And there the lyrics becomes a philosophical distillation of gratitude in the face of finitude. And you know what? Life is not measured in duration, but in depth. Not in its extension, but in its intensity of lived experience. The metaphor of soul heading back home down a one-way road, that gestures toward an almost spiritual universalism, the notion of return, completion, and inevitability woven into the human condition. And then finally, until the caskets close. Now that serves not as a grim punctuation, but as a solemn ellipsis. You know, the quiet acknowledgement that all narratives, however luminous, must eventually yield to closure. Yet what lingers is not darkness, but rather a gently illuminated afterglow, a reminder to remember, to smile, and to honor the fragile magnificent brevity of being. Okay, I think I got a bit animated there because, well, you lot would know if you've seen my For Joe reaction and the podcast post reaction. I am very emotionally invested in this. So, yeah, okay, let's keep it.
Until the caskets close. And if you get that sinking feeling, thinking about the time we shared, I hope it helps you
Family.
with your healing. Knowing that I wasn't scared.
Oh, the Bills.
I pressed the world up against my skin. I was lucky, I guess. I always found the beauty in
Oh, is she pregnant?
you gotta hold on to
Oh.
the little things, but you gotta let go just a little bit. When another one goes, one will
It's
find their
a
wings,
happy
then they'll find their way
mood,
home,
but
little
sad
taking
lyrics.
into the unknown and the changing tides. The sun sets low on an endless sky. So much we don't know, I don't know why, but I'll be fine, 'cause I had a
Yeah.
hell of a time. Know that I had the time of my life.
Bills.
So remember me and smile.
That's a French horn.
Heading back home down a one-way road. So
Oh.
it goes until the caskets close.
This is... This is one of those songs that, for me, it's life in a nutshell, really. Songs like this come around once in a generation. They speak to life, they speak to loss. This even speaks to romance, but it speaks to familial ties as well. Because that looks like a family get-together, but they look like brothers. So, yeah. Interesting. Okay. Wow, what a song. Okay, let's take a look at some of the lyrics that Ren has provided. Okay, so the emotional architecture becomes even more intimate here, as though Ren is leaning in closer, speaking not from the distance of abstraction, but from the very edge of lived memory. When you look at the lyrics, the sinking feeling, that arises when recollection turns inward and is rendered with exquisite psychological acuity. It's a recognition that grief is not a singular event, but a recurring tide that revisits the mind unannounced. Yet, rather than recoil from this emotional undertow, the lyric offers a consolatory counterweight, the reassurance that Ren wasn't scared. There is a profound dignity there, because a quiet defiance against the instinct to fear the end, replaced instead with an almost sensual attentiveness to existence itself. I press the world up against my skin. Now that's a phrase that transforms life into something tactile, immediate, almost sacramental in its intensity. Now what follows is a philosophy of balance, delicately suspended between attachment and release. Hold on to the little things, but you gotta let go just a little bit. Now, that's a kind of emotional jurisprudence, an ethics of impermanence, suggesting that love and loss are not opposites, but they are cohabitants in the same fragile ecosystem of emotional being. The imagery of departure, another one goes, one finds their wings. That softens mortality into metamorphosis, reframing separation not as severance, but as transformation. Drifting into new ontological weather systems, when you look at the lyric, into the unknown and changing tides. Even the cosmos seems complicit in this gentle unfolding when you think of it. Sunset stretching across an endless sky. Vast ignorance held not with dread but with humble acceptance. So much we don't know I don't know why, but I'll be fine. So ultimately, that passage does not resolve the mystery of existence so much as it learns to sit beside it. It offers no false permanence. There's no theatrical certainty, only the understated courage of appreciation, the willingness to have loved deeply in a universe that does not promise retention. And in that surrender, paradoxically, folks, there is peace. Okay, I'm getting a little bit emotional, but also deeply passionate about this topic in particular. So let's keep going. So he has, hey, Super Nintendo, cool.
Raise a toast as the curtains close and the sunset
Chris Webby.
fades to black. So the story
no.
goes, we all walk with ghosts, no one-way tickets back. The casualties of our memories that slip right through the cracks.
Oh, for
All
fuck's
the
sake.
inside jokes and the times we spoke.
I've gotten many calls like that in my life. They would break you.
But you gotta let go just a little bit.
That was a great verse from Chris Webby.
But just know you're not alone in the thick of it. I know it feels cold when the
What was the
closed.
prognosis?
Stories untold on a headstone. For those who grow old, it'll fly by in the blink of an eye. So we'll have a hell of a time.
Oh,
Know that we'll have the time of our lives. So remember us and smile. All of the souls heading back home down a one-way road. So it goes until the caskets
so it goes.
close. We'll have a hell of a time.
We'll have it. Okay.
Know that we'll have the
Oh.
time of our lives.
Ren, Chris, you guys have cooked.
Remember us and smile. All of the souls heading back home down a one-way road. So it goes until the caskets close.
So it goes indeed. Ooh, give me a minute. Bloody hell. Okay, so brilliance as well from Chris Webby. And of course, the imagery shifts into something almost ceremonial, as though we are witnessing the final act of a theater production where life itself is both stage and performer. Raise the toast as the curtains close. Now, again, that's profoundly bittersweet of a gesture, an act of celebration occurring precisely at the moment of departure, suggesting that farewell and gratitude are not opposing forces, but rather intertwined rituals of closure. The sunset fading to black reinforces the dramaturgical inevitability. Light does not vanish abruptly, but rather yields itself gradually to darkness, as all lived experience must eventually recede into memory's hush. And the lyric then deepens into a more spectral philosophy. We all walk with ghosts. Yeah, because this is not merely a poetic flourish, but a psychological truth articulated with striking clarity. Human beings, in many ways, are custodians of their own pasts, accompanied continually by echoes of relationships, versions of ourselves, and moments that no longer exist except as internal reverberations. The phrase, no one-way tickets back. Now that anchors in existential finality, acknowledging time's irreversible architecture. It moves only forward, indifferent to longing. And what follows is particularly poignant in its subtlety. The casualties of our memories that slip right through the cracks. So there we're talking about memory from that lyric. Memory here is not a perfect archive. It is a fractured, porous vessel that is selectively unreliable and gently eroding. Even the most cherished fragments, inside jokes, and the times we spoke are ultimately suspended in a kind of temporal amber, frozen in the past. Yet this freezing is not entirely tragic. It preserves as much as it withholds. There is sorrow, certainty, but also a quiet reverence for the fact that anything meaningful was ever experienced at all. And this song, as I come to a close, for me, it is life in a nutshell. Well, I think I got a lot more animated than usual there, but that's all from me, folks. That was profoundly emotional. If you enjoyed it, please do like, comment, share, subscribe. Please feel free to support the channel financially if you are able to do so via any of the methods in the description below. Until next time, do be kind, do be gentle, and be respectful to one another. We don't know how much time either of us have left here on Earth, so let's be good to one another. Cheers.